your Sunday morning in this chat with SIEF board representatives. So first of all, I wish you a warm welcome to the meeting of working group representatives. And as you know, Sophie Elpers and I will moderate this meeting. Such meetings with working group representatives have already become SIEF Congress tradition, I would say. Their purpose, as you know, since you attended quite a few of them, is to exchange ideas freely and discuss ways in which we can stimulate the already good work of SIEF working groups, some common challenges and possible answers to those challenges. Let me start with a simple fact that working groups are really vital for the functioning, continuity and the outreach of our society. SIEF board sees dynamic and active working groups as SIEF's major strength. The conferences and other events that the working groups organize in the years in between our congresses provide our members, as you know, with a certain annual rhythm of SIEF events. Another thing I would like to point out is that working groups really play an important part for the inclusion of members in the early phase of their careers, both through the thematic working groups and the group that focuses on young scholars. That is why SIEF board often negotiates with you and considers it really crucial to make the events as accessible and affordable to students and early career scholars as possible, and asks you to take that into account while planning your activities. Securing the future of the society and working groups by such an inclusive approach is, I believe, in the best interest for all of us. As a preparation for this meeting, I've gone through the reports on your work in the newsletters in 2020 and 2021, and wow, it is really impressive. The data show that the working groups have found ways to enhance international cooperation, publish works that stem from conferences or congress panels, and gather scholars from our fields, even in times of the pandemic. And we thank you for that. What the board members often stress when we discuss the questions that arise from working groups is that our function as a board is not primarily a monitoring or regulatory one. Instead, we see ourselves as your partners in carrying out SIEF and working group programs and activities. And we are really satisfied with the cooperation with all of you. But we would like to point out some examples of good practice in the last 2 years in that respect. So members of cultural heritage and property working groups, we have their representatives here, Anita and Kristin, worked with SIEF board members and heritage experts on the UNESCO SIEF position paper. We had a joint preparation meeting, and the writing of the document was conducted as a really collaborative process, and we will present the outcome of that effort at the General Assembly. The other example is the cooperation between Young Scholars Working Group and the SIEF board, and one of the results is the mentoring program that took place already in Santiago and will take place in a different shape and format in the frame of Helsinki Congress as well. So pay attention to all the programs that have this umbrella term of mentoring program. We have prepared several workshops that deal with applied careers, with how to get published and how to get funded. And although those are focused on early career scholars, they are not exclusive. So everybody who feels young at heart is very welcome to attend these workshops. I'm sure that you will hear some good discussions on these topics. At the last meeting with working group representatives in Santiago de Compostela, several topics were addressed that we will also talk about today, to present what we have done so far and to discuss our future plans for those activities. Those are mostly related to two spheres. One is financing and the other communication. And now I give the floor to Sophie to present those points.
Yes, thank you, Nevina. I will share my presentation with you. So I think you can see it. That's the cover slide. So what we really want to stress is that SIEF wants to encourage the working groups to be dynamic and active. And as Nevina already said, when we think about the last meeting, we in Santiago, we thought of two initiatives. One came more from your side, and one maybe more from the side of the board of SIEF. And the first one, which came from you, was financial support. Is that possible? Indeed, we have had a look at the finances and the possibility of funding, and considering the importance of the work of the working groups, and considering also the financial situation of SIEF, which is quite stable. We have decided that financial support for you is possible. We don't have much space, but still we have a little bit of financial space. We cannot guarantee a fixed amount, but still we can guarantee an amount to support the working groups. The idea is that every second year you can apply for funding. I must say that the old board has decided on the funding program, but the funding program itself will be further developed by the new board. We have already decided that there will be a sum of 5,000 euro in total for the period between 21 and 23. We have already developed criteria. You see them on the slide. I will read them out loudly in a minute. But the new board will discuss this funding program once more, and will address this point again as soon as possible. So please be a little bit patient. We still have to elect the new board, and then there has to be a first board meeting in which we will definitely discuss this program, and we will send you application formats and more information as soon as possible. What is decided by the old board is that we have 5,000 euros for this coming period. In total, it's unfortunately not more, but I hope you see it also as a sign that SIEF really wants to, the board and SIEF really want to support your very important work. We would suggest that every working group can apply for 250 to 1,000 euros, but you already see, if you see the amounts, that this would then not be possible for all working groups. But maybe one really needs, it has more urgency than the others, one needs more money than the others. So we will have a look at how this will function. The criteria we decided on are the likely benefit of the activity to the vibrancy of the working group, the likely benefit of the activity that has to be funded, that has to be supported by CF money to CF members, the likely benefit of the activity to recruit and include young scholars. This is also something Nevena already mentioned, and the likely benefit of the activity to broaden and enhance diversity of the membership base. So we want to have also kind of, we will look at how we can handle the good balance. And we have now formulated it like this, with applications showing an equal merit. Some preference will be given to working groups that have not recently been granted financial support. Do you have any questions on this? Maybe I just stop the presentation shortly.
Can I just ask a question, Sophie?
Yes.
A question which arose at our meeting yesterday was, how do we define young scholars? Is it young, younger? And somebody suggested that it was scholars up to 5 years after they had done their PhD.
Yes, that is something that is something we also describe in the call for the Young Scholars Prize. But I think you just should have a dynamic a definition of it.
Thank you.
It's just to encourage people who are new to our fields, who have to be supported in a way, but who might also contribute to the vibrancy of a working group.
Yes, thank you.
Other questions? Yeah, and here's also a note in the chat that you could also think of students, of course. CF is very open for students, so please take this also into account. And we will definitely make there will be a document in which all will be described in more detail, and you will be provided by this document as soon as possible. Hester.
Yeah, no, thank you. And wonderful, to have this support, to get this support. Really, really happy. One question, do you work with deadlines? And so is it first call and, so when is the budget exhausted, or do you have to speed up, or?
No, not now. We will inform you as soon as the new board has come together, and we will definitely give all working groups enough time to come with suggestions and to apply. So of course, on one point we will have to decide which amount goes to which working group. So there will definitely be something like a deadline, but it's don't worry, there's no hurry at the moment, and we will all give you enough time to think about the activities you want to have funded by CF.
So if I could just add a little explanation. Of course, the current board has worked really hard on discussing our approach to this issue, and we are fully aware of the need for it, and we would really like to support our working groups in a more concrete way as well, apart from the symbolic tapping on the shoulder. But we, on the other hand, didn't want to tie the hands of the new board. So we wanted to give them the opportunity to set their own dynamics and not, predictate the whole thing. What we would like to hear from you now are some considerations of the criteria or what you see as important questions when we, go through your applications, etc. Of course, you're all, much better than we do what your current or future needs in this respect are. So it would give us a better understanding of them if you could shed some lights on your attitude towards the criteria. Perhaps Sophie could share.
I will put them in the chat. So
yeah,
you see them now in the chat.
And they are not, from top of our heads. Those are some principles that are also written in the mission statement of SIEF, and of course in very many of the working groups. We went through all the descriptions there as well, but it would be good to have some feedback from you at this point of how you would approach this issue.
How do you apply? I mean, do you have to write a description of the project that you want to have financial help from SIEF?
Yes.
Is it a couple of pages? Is it a full scientific application, or how big should it be?
No, it will not be very big, and we really want to avoid too many bureaucratics, and you will have to describe the activity, but it will be not too big, and we will also we will develop a form, an application form, which you then will be asked to use. And this is really we have to try out what works best. So please, if we send you the forms or more information and you do not agree, or you find it too complicated, or you find it not working, please let us know, let the Secretariat know, so that we can develop this really together with you as the working groups. I mean, it is most important that you can work with it, and that you profit from it.
Just a follow-up question. Most of the expenses will be for the venues where the meeting is supposed to be taking place. Is there any priority for venues? I mean, we can't apply for travels. That is obviously something that is very difficult to do, because then the money will disappear altogether.
No, there's not. We will not focus on a specific thing that can be financed by the funding, but it should contribute to a good activity, to an activity that is important for the vibrancy of your group. So you would have to look at where you spend the money for. Nevena, you had an addition?
Yes, I just wanted to add that at our last meeting in Santiago, quite a few of you have raised the question of financing publications. So that was one of the ideas of things we could finance in this way as well, of course, and events and all kinds of popularization of your working groups, even some videos, etc. Such programs.
Yeah.
Clear enough.
And as to the conferences or your workshops or whatever you might do, it's just meant to be able to reduce your fees. So you might also, funding might also include coffee, tea, lunches, which are also so important for the vibrancy of the groups.
Very wise, especially coffee.
Katrina.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to ask about these events and maybe publications also, which you just mentioned. That how do you see this should these events or publications be only for CF members, or is it possible to organize with this funding such events where there are people who are not members in CF, or maybe also societal partners, this kind of in transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary contexts, if there is a need to organize this kind of events or publications. So is it possible to have people who are not working in academia or people who are not CF members in these events or publications? This is my question. How would you like to shape this issue?
That's a good point. We would still have to discuss it, but as in my feeling, it should be possible to fund, for instance, a workshop where also non-CF members will attend. This is also how working groups work, that they have their own conferences where also people who might not be members from the working groups are invited. And I think it's also it might also be true for the publications, but I think there should be still a visible part that is really a CF part in the project. But for the rest, I think we should be absolutely be open. I mean, otherwise you also cannot attract new members, because a way of finding new members is, of course, to not to stay in your own working group members bubble, but to invite others and to collaborate with others.
Exactly, that is what I wanted to say. So, of course, you shouldn't focus only on the existing members of the working groups. It would be good that these are some new members or future members you are making through these activities. When we discussed this at the CF board meeting, I remember that we concluded that for us, it is important that it is a working group activity. So it is something you're in charge of. Of course, you can have partners in this project, whether it is an event or a publication. But for us, it is important that it is, in a way, your project, your results, so working group results. The same goes for the publications as well. Priority will be given to those publications that is treated as some sort of working group publication, the way very many of the working groups function. For example, the ritual group here has quite a few of those, and of course there are many other groups that stem from your panel discussions at the congresses or your conferences. So these working group publications, in a way, will get priority over individual, works of certain members.
Other questions?
And comments, do you think this would enhance your work?
Okay.
I would like to thank for this kind of opportunity, because I was present 2 years ago in Santiago when this question was raised by several working groups. So thank you for this opportunity. I think it will enhance every activity the working groups have, different kinds. So I think it's very, very important. Thanks for that.
Well, it actually allows us to do maybe more and come up with more things that we can actually afford doing right now, if we get the funding. Are we going to get the funding beforehand or afterwards? That I think it's important. As I don't know the English word for it, but you first spend the money and then you get it. It's always a headache.
No, it will be possible to get it before.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. And well, as I already said, we are really dependent from the financial situation of CEF. So we have to look every 2 years approximately. We have to look how the amount will look like for the next days. Konrad.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Thank you, first of all, for having this opportunity. This is perfect. I have a question. Maybe this is a especially Swiss question. How are we dealing it? How are we handling it? With like our working group doesn't have any bank account or something. How do we handle like the transfer of this money if like we get it? How do we properly handle it? Because as working group, we're not having fees, so we don't have any, actually our working group doesn't have any bank accounts or something. So that's the question on how do we get the money if we get it?
I think we will have to decide this in every specific case. And I'm absolutely sure we will find a solution. So we could, for instance, maybe also pay something directly. We have to look what is most easy and best for you, for the working groups.
Exactly.
And there are not so many working groups and not so much money. So I'm absolutely sure we can find solution for each case, separate solutions.
Yeah, exactly. When we are working with, for example, universities at the national level, when organizing congresses or summer schools, very often we use the funds of CEF in this way, so that we pay directly to, for example, a publishing house or whoever, to the venue, so this can be arranged. Helena.
Right. Hi, everyone. Really nice to meet you. My name is Helena Peterson at Umeå University in the northern part of Sweden. Thank you so much for bringing up this type of question. And we discussed in my working group yesterday how to organize the next meeting and have a hybrid form of meeting to both cut people's travel time and also perhaps travel budget, but some members really want to participate in a face-to-face meeting. And I just wonder what sort of experiences you have of that types of costs when you organize hybrid meetings where you, of course, need perhaps less larger auditoriums, but you still need to have really state-of-the-art support regarding media technology and such facilities.
Nevina, did you want to say something? I saw your hand.
Yes, perhaps you could start and I could add.
Well, we as CEF, we do not have experiences with hybrids with the hybrid conference by now, but I'm sure we can also support those. I mean, we could support with, for instance, the technical questions, and if you need specific techniques to make this conference possible, the funding could also be used for these, of course.
Or softwares, for example.
Software, yes.
Yeah.
And for any other support you need, please just let us know. So if it is not financial support, but any other, of course, also here we have to look at CS finances. But still, if you need advice from Normat IT, for instance, we can look if they can give advice, or any other problems and challenges you face, just let us know, and we will try to help as much as we can.
Thank you.
Nevina.
Yeah, Sophie is right. We haven't had the experience with the hybrid events so far, but we have made calculations for them. It's a different format, of course. It's a quite a different frame, and it depends heavily on the number of participants you will have. But while more than a year ago, we were considering what to do, how to organize the Helsinki Congress. We also, dealt with this idea of a hybrid Congress. And when we put all the finances on the paper, it turned out that the costs, that they have doubled. So it is almost as you are organizing two separate congresses, because you have all the expenses of the technological organization of things, and you still have to pay for the venues and lunches and everything else. It is surprising. It took me quite by surprise, but the costs have almost doubled, and that is why we, at the end, decided not to go in this direction. It turned out to be a good decision, because we couldn't enter the University of Helsinki anyway at this point. But when talking about hybrid conferences for a modest number of participants, it is quite manageable, because all these softwares are then almost freely accessible. But for larger events, they do cost some money, and of course you have to have the IT who will support you in this effort.
Any other questions or comments on this point of funding?
If I may, would I?
Irina, yes, of course.
I would like to underline the intention of the board to make as small as possible the bureaucratic part, because bureaucracy kills us. All the grants and programs, we are making applications, and then financial and academic research take a lot of time and effort. So thank you so much for this very thoughtful idea. Another thing, I would foresee several problems. Of course, each start provokes many things which we are not which we do not know about. One thing I foresee for the countries like my country, Russia, where we do not have hard currency and euro, and probably you will see some problems with financial support of such countries and scientists. But everything is possible now, so I hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, we could go to the second point. I don't have a presentation here, but I stay in this modus. The second point is communication, and first of all, filming. That was something also we discussed last time when we met 2 years ago in Santiago de Compostela, and we then started to have a new filming project, which was on the one hand making films about colleagues who are more working more in applied in the applied fields, and on the other hand, we also tried to start with films about the working groups. We already made some films, but as you see, we have not published them yet. the board has decided to continue filming, but we really need more material and more time to be able to publish anything. And we would like to wait to the next live Congress to have the possibility to film there again. It was not possible now. But what we also see a possibility that working groups could make their own films in the meanwhile. So if you in the meantime, so if you really want to have a film now that shows your work and maybe attract new members, then we would like to encourage you to do so. There is a task force of communication, and there will be a new one after the new board will be elected. And this task force will look at how we can proceed with this, and will also make some guidelines for working groups about possible filming if you want to film yourself. And these guidelines, we think, are useful to avoid too much diversity. But as I said, also SIEF itself will continue with filming, but we need more time, and we really need a face-to-face congress for this to realize filming. So unfortunately, we are not very much further with the filming, and we could not publish anything by now about the working groups, but we would ask for your patience, and maybe if you want to do films yourself, maybe you could do that. And also here, SIEF would really like to support as much as SIEF can. Nevena.
Yes, thank you, Sophie. I just wanted to add that we decided as the board that we wouldn't make some kind of discrimination between the groups in the way that we publish films only about 1 or 2 working groups, then have a break of 2 years or a bit more than that, and wait for other films.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So these are prepared. We have good materials for that. We could also film some more on the working groups who have already done that as well. But we would like to have at least, the majority of working groups publishing some materials, some video materials at the same time. In that way, we wouldn't have this difference in the approach of advertising the work of the working groups.
Do you have any questions or comments on that?
Do you have ideas of how you would do such films for your working groups?
Not by now.
Well, actually, I was thinking what happened in the past year would be an excellent continuation of our film in Santiago, because we were filmed a bit. And I remember, I forgot the name, the young lady was filming from Iceland. She had a difficult name, so I can't remember it. She loved the idea that we were having our own rituals, so the ritual rituals, and we have gone through all kind of experience together as a group. And what happened in the past year is absolutely brilliant, because we established new rituals where our old were taken away from us, so we couldn't meet as usual. So then we felt like we had to replace them with new rituals, and we have created our new rituals, because we realized, as Laurent pointed out during our meeting yesterday, we realized how important rituals are when we couldn't perform them. So we had to replace and come up with new rituals for our group to keep it together and keep people focused. And that's what we did. So I think that would be an excellent idea, actually, to talk about our own experience during the pandemic and lockdown.
Thank you. Katrina.
Yes, thank you. I just would like to say that I will take this information to new co-chair of Place Wisdom, and they might have then some ideas and possibilities to make an own film, but I don't know about their ideas just now, so I will take this information to them.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. If you have, please share all information with the other chairs or new chairs and secretaries of your working groups. And I will send you the PowerPoint presentation, which is not so huge. And we will provide you with the materials we have about this meeting so that you can send them also to the new chairs and secretaries. Any other questions, comments on this filming issue? Okay, then another aspect of communication, that is, of course, the communication during the congresses. And most of you have prepared posters. Many thanks for those. They will be exhibited during the whole Congress, and I hope many people will find the way to the posters and look at them. And please, if you may also advertise those. As I have informed you, we have organized an additional meeting which will take place on Thursday at 12:15 to 1:15 Helsinki time, in which every working group can be answer to questions and can also present itself very shortly, only 1 minute, we thought. So there will be 3 blocks of 20 minutes. We have to look at how many working groups will be there, and Bernhard Schofen, who will chair this meeting, will then look at the question how many working groups will be present in the first block, how many in the second or in the third. I mean, you will all be present at the same time, but first it will be the first block with maybe 3 working groups, just presenting in 1 minute, I'm sorry for that, what you do, and then there will be enough space for questions. I think this panel or this meeting is really meant to have exchange with participants of the meeting, and it is really meant for Q&A. So I hope there will be many people so that there will be a good discussion. Do you have any questions about this? So it's not, I think somewhere I saw that it is mentioned as poster presentation, but you really don't have to have a poster. All working groups are invited to be there to say 1 minute something about their work and then answer to questions. Hester, you?
Yeah, just small. So we just can join, and that's okay, or do we have to pre-register or?
No, please join, and maybe you could in your you could write down in your name, in your that which working group, from which working group you come, so that it is immediately clear that you are from material culture, for instance, and just join the meeting at 12:15. Any other questions about this? No. Good. I think these were my points. And maybe it would be good to have now a more general discussion on how CF could support you, which working group activities can also enhance a CF. So let us have a more general discussion now. And I think Nevina,
I will try to
say a few words.
I will try to moderate that discussion. It is going to be more open, so not led by certain topics. You will actually provide us with the topics of your interest. As you have seen, we have followed up on the topics you raised in Santiago, and the plan is to do the same with all the questions and suggestions you have at this point. And in 2 years' time, we will all meet and, inform you what we did in the meantime and how we can proceed with these plans. So please, all your ideas of how to enhance the work of the working group, the collaboration between the CF board and working group representatives, please, the floor is yours.
I have again a maybe stupid question, but yesterday we had our meeting. We were only the 5 of us. It was a wonderful meeting. We managed to vote and elect new chairs and new board members and new secretary. How do we communicate and where and when? And is it the General Assembly, or can we share it now? Or
yes, you can share it now. I have another last slide in which with some organizational things, and this is an organizational thing. So you are asked to send the names of the new board to the secretariat, and then the secretariat will change your website, will adapt your website, and will also give the login, etc., of your email list to the new chairs. Also, you might have new members. Please let the secretariat also know so that Nomad IT can add those members to mailing lists. Jonas?
Yeah, I wonder in connection to this, how we had a meeting with the working group yesterday, and we found Kirsten Pfeiffer and the other members that the group was put up in Zagreb in 2015, and that takes us 6 years from now. And in the statutes for CF, it says that the chair and the vice chair and secretary are allowed to be chairing for at least, at the most for 3 periods, which is 6 years. So on the procedures for electing new chair and new secretaries, I would like to hear a little bit more about that, because I can see that me, myself, I have to fall for the rules, so to speak. My 6 years are up.
Yeah, I mean, the statutes also say that we can give dispensation on these term limits. So if you do not find anybody else, then I mean, the working groups need chairs and secretaries. So in that case, you should continue. I think these general statutes are made to show you a way, but they don't want to force you too much to if they are not workable or not manageable in 1 year. We are not too strict in that sense.
No, but the initiative for the re-election or not should come from the group, I suppose.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
And you could also. It was of course it's not a normal business meeting at a digital conference, right? So it works now maybe in another way because not everybody appears because people also have their normal life and are not fully dedicated to SIEF during this week. So you might also discuss the elections in email contact with the whole group and keep the board. I think Anita and Christine, you found a good way. Maybe you could share it shortly to keep the board a little bit open and contact people afterwards and then give a deadline. For a deadline that the board has to be formed at a specific moment. Christine, would you share how you organized it?
Yes, thank you. We did it this way. We did have quite a number of people present at the meeting yesterday, but definitely not all of the working group members, at least those who have been more engaged with the working group. So in that sense, we did elect the new board with leaving at least one seat or two seats open, and an additional email was sent by Anita to all the working group members, indicating that, say by the end of Monday, people should express their interest if they want to be on the board. So in that sense, it remains open and up to the people just to take a little bit more time to make up their mind, or if they weren't present there at the meeting and they suddenly realize they would like to be more active, so they have the chance to do it. But we decided to do that in that very short time period. But you could extend your period, say, till the end of the Congress. So having a whole week for people to react. And maybe that would work. So that's
okay.
All.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. When the base group that I am working with was set up, I think the initiative came from the board of SIEF. So that is obviously also a possibility. I mean, we don't. If there is an interest in putting up new working groups or also members of existing, I think the board should be active in this case also, without going into dictatorial procedures.
Jonas, you're quite right. I remember when you were asked to actually establish the new working group. At that point, SIEF board decided that this is an interesting area we would like to cover, and you, as an expert in this, were approached to and asked kindly to establish it. And of course, that can be one of the models. Other approach can be, of course, bottom up, that we, and that is actually what happened with the narratives working groups, for example. So certain topics that arise during congresses continually, over time, you get this shape of the working group, more or less. So we could work really in both directions. And when it comes to the appointment of the chairs and all the bodies of the working groups, the idea was to rotate people, not only because of this, because we would like to think about the dictatorship, qualifications, but it is, as you very well know, it is a certain workload. And, it would be good to rotate things and to balance this workload within the working group and give other, people also a chance to see things from another angle. That was the general concept for it. But of course, if the working group decides this is still the way to go, and you don't have candidates who would take on all these tasks, we will really appreciate if you just continue.
We will. Thank you for the answer.
Lisette Graydon has a question.
Thank you. I had a comment and a question. I think it's really nice that we bring this issue up with the working group. Hester Dibitz and I were also asked in Zagreb to get the Museum and Material Culture Working Group started. And it has been our experience that with workloads and it has been difficult at times to keep everything going that we wanted to get going. So what we decided yesterday was actually what we're going to try is to, we augmented our group a little bit. So there's 3 chairs now and a secretary. And then a question regarding, I think, Christine, what your working group did to extend. We were discussing that possibility because we had people who have been very active in the group but could not make it to the meeting yesterday, and whether it would be possible to invite them to join a board. We started, we do have a form a board, but there are people that we think might be interested in serving on a board. Would that still be possible to extend that invitation?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Because we had, there's a crossover with a member of ICOM that we find, since we're working in a group that some people work in museums and some people work at the university. And this is also a connectivity that we want to continue both to explore, but also to expand on. And with the last conference with ICOM representatives, it was really, really nice. And they are CF members as well. So if that would be possible. But I don't know, Hester, if you have something else that you want to add to that. But I wanted to make clear if that was still a possibility. So thank you.
Irina.
We are a very big group, the Ritual Year group, and we have long traditions since 2005. And still yesterday we had a very effective group meeting, but with not very many people. And we decided that we will vote, hopefully in person, next year in Riga at our conference. So we decided to leave the situation as it is now, with 2 co-chairs for another year. Is it possible?
Yes, I think so, Nivina, right?
Maybe Irina
I
Stahl
think
will add something. Yes, because
this is extraordinary. This is a so extraordinary situation that I think we really have to think of good and practical solutions. So I think this is absolutely possible.
Yeah, the idea was that things were going so well and we are finally on a new track, and it's not the right moment to change people right now. So we are just going to overcome this difficult time with the lockdown and keep things going as they are. And then next year, we're going to reassess and see what we're going to do and reconsider everything. Then have elections.
Exactly. So what I just wanted to add, you will just now submit the names or confirm the names that are already on your list. And in a year's time, in that case, according to our bylaws, you don't even have to have this selection. You can wait for another Congress in 2 years' time. But in a year's time, if you think that the situation is ripe, you can make this change, because according to our bylaws, these selections take place every 2 years. But there is some strong obstacle to change the guard if you think that's the best solution. Do you have any other question or idea for the board to work on together with you on how we could stimulate the work of the working groups and our collaboration, communication? No more ideas, so you're happy with what? Okay, Kristin.
Right. Thank you for giving me the floor again. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say that as me and Anita at the working group on cultural heritage and property are outgoing, we have one of the new co-chairs present, who is Carly Williams from Elphinstone Institute in Aberdeen. And what I wanted to point out is that we definitely have a generational mixture. Our other co-chair is the most advanced in years, Robert Barron from Gaucho College. And in this sense, kind of having Carly there is excellent, that she represents the younger generation of colleagues. And this is what we would try to encourage more, get our younger colleagues engaged so that they can carry on the good work. So thank you, Carly, for being brave enough to pick up the baton.
Thank you for that. Then Jerzy has raised his hand. Jerzy, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking about young scholars, so many things, and the mentoring program. And I have an idea how to extend the mentoring program to the period between the two congresses. It would be a very, very easy way. Such like that,
I'm not sure if you can hear Laszlo, so that is not Jerzy, that's Laszlo Kompany, the representative of the Young Scholar Working Group. But it seems that something has stuck technically. So
it was a nice cliffhanger. Yeah. Here he is again.
I'm back again. So my idea is and to invite all the working groups to share information with us. If they have any conferences between the congresses or other programs where young scholars, students or early career scholars would be invited, then we would share the information through our email address, through our Facebook, to channel the young scholars of SIEF to other working groups, because we need information and we would like to share information to our members. We have maybe 75 members in our mailing list, and it would be a great thing if we could channel them to other working groups. But we don't know so much information about all. Of course, for example, me, I'm a member of the Ethnology of Religions working group, but not others. So this would be a great thing if you could help us to share information and channel the young scholars to other working groups.
Yes, thank you for that initiative, Laszlo, because Young Scholars Working Group is specific in their focus. Their focus is not thematic, but it goes with a certain group of members or future members. So I think this is a very good way to go in order to include more young scholars into thematic working groups. Any comments on that? Or do we have an agreement to share, Sophie, such information? Okay. Jiří, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and hello to everyone. I just want to say a quite similar thing like Christine did, because we have had a meeting yesterday, quite fruitful, despite rather few colleagues were present there. However, we had an elections, and I'm now leaving my position as a co-chair of the working group, and currently both new co-chairs are present here with us, who is Karolina Pauknerova from Charles University, and Laszlo Mott from University of Szeged. And as a secretary, we have elected Alice Bowen from the University of Reykjavik. So we are now spread all over the Europe, from very east to the very west of the Europe. So I will not be with you at future meetings of the working groups leaders. So I wish just thank all of you for your ideas and thoughts. I have an opportunity to share with you, and also I wish to thank the CF board for ongoing support, not of course only our working group, but of all of the working groups CF has. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jiří. And Helena has raised her hand, so please, Helena, go ahead.
Thank you so much. We had a discussion on our working group meeting yesterday regarding how to support young scholars and researchers in ethnology applying for the ERC money. And this is really tricky ground. And what we decided for our meeting, our mid-meeting, is to try to engage preferably an ethologist or a cultural anthropologist to come and talk about his or her application to Marie Curie or an ERC. And I have really good candidates who can talk from a more cultural anthropology perspective. But I think it would be very useful for young researchers to get to know people within the field of ethnology, if possible, on how to apply for ERC money, and especially if there are any successful Marie Curie candidates, for example, because we know that it is challenging for us to motivate, and especially if we go into the general ERC funding to motivate, how do we contribute, for example, to this innovation track within the ERC funding. So I think it would be wonderful if SIEF, for example, could organize some type of workshop regarding that, because otherwise the research infrastructures in all the countries we have member from is quite different, although the research funding infrastructure system is getting more and more similar due to that everyone are copying the ERC funding system. But still, I think the ERC funding is a hard nut to crack, so to speak.
That's such a great initiative, Helena. Thank you very much for that. I'm very sure that very many people, not only the young scholars, but perhaps especially young scholars, will be interested in such workshops and lectures. So I think the new board will definitely pick the idea up and communicate it with you and make it happen, Sophie, right? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Helena. That's really an important initiative, and I'm sure we will definitely do something with it. Thank you so much.
Jonas has raised.
Yes, I think it's a good initiative, and I want to inform you that there are members of the SIEF that have been evaluating these Marie Curie applications for decades by now. I happen to be married to one of them. So there is knowledge within this group how to formulate this kind of application and what is important to press on. From my experience in Brussels, I can say that there is almost never any application from ethnology. There might be from anthropology, of course. That is a more widely intellectually spread field, but for ethnology, definitely. So this is needed indeed. I can volunteer, but I'm a bit rusty by now, considering age and whatever.
I doubt, Jonas, yeah. But we will bear in mind the person you have mentioned as well. I think she would do that wonderfully as well. Gunnar has raised his hand. Please, Gunnar, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just want to remind everyone of the mentoring program from the Young Scholars Working Group. And that is for one of the 3 mentoring programs will be on Venner Green fundings. And yeah, I think it's at least a good starting point in this discussion. And in that panel, we hope to expand on the idea of how to get funding. And also there's another mentoring program on how to get published. I think this will be somewhat intertwined, but yeah, so just everyone go to us.
Thank you for your kind invitation. And Caroline, please, the floor is yours.
I think
we will stop then. Sophie will give you some information because we have some other events also to attend. Caroline.
I just wanted to share my personal experience because we had lately a grant writing workshop at the University of Tartu in Estonia. And I think it's really, really helpful because we understood that we there are questions we never thought about, and also how time consuming it's not in your late PhD studies that you should start to think about that much earlier. So I can really encourage doing those workshops. It was really helpful what we had at the University of Tartu.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And now I give the floor back to Sophie for some more information, right, Sophie?
Yes, this is organizational stuff. So I would like to ask you to check once more your websites. You will find them via the SIEF homepage, and please let the Secretariat know if we have to include changes. That means also that we want to change, of course, the names of the chairs if there's a new one, and secretaries. So please inform the secretariat about the changes of chairs and secretaries. Also, I think you will have made minutes of the business meetings during the last days. So please send them also to the secretariat so that we can publish them on your websites. So any changes always have to go via the secretariat. That is the way it works. Please inform us also early about the dates of your conferences so that we can publish them on the CF calendar and advertise them on CF's Facebook page. And of course, we are very happy if we can also announce them in the newsletter that is published twice a year, one in the late spring and one in the late autumn. Something we always repeat is that CF has the policy that everybody should be able to attend conferences and workshops. So once more, please try to keep the costs down so that really everybody can attend and that we can really be an inclusive organization. You might have another look at the working group statutes. You find them also on the CF homepage. And then the last thing is, again, the invitation to the Meet CF's working groups on Thursday at 12:15, 12:15 Helsinki time. So please join us there. That all questions can be answered. And I will send to you this presentation so that you can also send them to others. Irina, you have a question.
Your mic.
Yes, sorry. Just a minor one. I forgot to ask when we discussed about it. I have an correspondence list of 300 people, and Nomad IT already did that, I think, 2 congresses ago. They were running my list through the membership of CF because it's very difficult to check 300 people. Just to get that list of official ritual year members. Because we can't put people that are not CF members on the CF site. So could they continue doing that and maybe do that for each working group? It's very useful. Otherwise, you have to go and check each name and it's fastidious.
We will ask them.
Yes.
It's indeed quite a lot of work, but I'm sure they have a manner how to do that.
They might come up with something automatically, just run them. Yes. I don't know. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, indeed, that is the rule, that all members of the working groups have to be CF members.
So we should recheck them every 2 years, maybe, with each CF Congress and renew it.
Okay, we will check with Nomad IT and get back to you on that question. Are there any organizational questions related to what Sophie has presented? Yes, Jonas?
I grabbed the opportunity to announce also here directly that a new working group is in the coming, and I have been in touch with the board already about the possibilities for it. It seems as if the first meeting of this working group will take place in Split in September next year, and it's about folk art. There has never been such an interest in pictures as in today's society, and with the internet and with the telephone in everyone's hand. So this meeting in split is totally financed. We have managed to get a donation of 100,000 euros for 3 consecutive workshops on pictures and on folk art, the connection between the old folk art and the contemporary kind of obsession with the pictures. So I just grabbed the opportunity of announcing to the other work group leaders that this is going to take place, and it is free. All costs are covered. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to engage again in a classical theme within ethnology, namely folk art. Thank you for the attention. I thought we were running out of time for the meeting, so I grabbed the opportunity.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Jonas, and thank you for this initiative. Jonas has been really hands-on, very proactive in this respect, and I'm sure the new board will again open these discussions and steps to take this topic forward when the time is right, or when the meeting can actually take place live. So let's hope it will stay that way this time.
It has been on the agenda for some time, but we waited until people can meet in the flesh. I mean, this artificial meeting is not, it's almost a parody to devote it a seminar to folk art when we are only seeing pictures of ourselves.
Yes, and it is hard to talk with a new group of people about establishing, potential establishing a new working group if you are online. It is much better to do it face to face. So yes. I encourage that. Since we are really running out of time, I would like to thank you all for attending this meeting, for investing your Sunday morning into this constructive conversation. I think we have heard and discussed very many good ideas here, and I'm sure that the new board will take those on and discuss them further and get in touch with you on how to develop them further. Fortunately for SIEF, Sophie Elpers will still stay and work for SIEF because her mandate is not limited. So you will have also this continuity in communication and collaboration. And from my side, my 2 mandates are up. So I would like to thank you all for very good and constructive collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if there are no more questions, thank you for the claps as well, both the real and electronic ones. Let me invite you all to another event that will take place in half an hour. It is dedicated to the centenary of Finnish ethnology, and I'm sure that our Finnish colleagues would love to have us all there. So if you do have some more time on Sunday morning to invest with chatting and discussing things relevant for our disciplines, please, you're kindly invited to come. But I'm sure we will have more opportunities to meet in different formats during this Congress. I wish you a lot of success in it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nevena.
Bye-bye.